I'm wildly content and at peace. And I don't think that would make sense to most people that consume me, because I'm so frantic as a communicator. I'm such high energy. I think the thing I always enjoy when people get close to me, and I'm looking at Dustin and Seth behind, is like, there's incredible levels of confusion on the calmness and like the ability to absorb, bad situations. And that has so much to do with personal life, right? Like friends and family, I feel really good about it. I think a lot of it has to do with the lack of expectation I have of others. Doesn't mean I don't require like any human being, but like I'm incredibly compassionate, not just empathetic. And I think when you combine compassion and empathy, you get into a really zen-y, fun place. I find that, I've been really thinking this through. I'm like, oh, those two, because not only can I feel you, but when you come with something that isn't great, I'm going quickly to, are you okay? Versus this hurts me. And so that gives me a very good personal life.
Yeah.
Again, trials and tribulations like any human on life from different various things, especially candor. I would tell you that everything that I've had challenges with in my life, professionally and personally, has been because I'm non-confrontational, which again, blows people away. Because on stage, I'm incredible at it.
Yeah.
Because I'm talking to the world. When I'm talking to the world, I can't see your name or your face. And so I can just have really good observations to incredibly clean data, because very few people on earth read the comments from human beings at the level that I do. It's what I do for a living.
Yeah.
So I have crazy insights. One that really caught me was how many wealthy kids were upset with their parents for paying things, but didn't want to give up on their parents. That one really triggered me in 4 or 5 years, because I didn't grow up in that environment. I was like, oh, this is a wild one. This is a very unhappy 25-year-old with a Tesla, a sick apartment in LA, an unlimited Uber, Equinox, but the subconscious is starting to take over, and they realize their parents think they're losers. That's why they're paying for everything. And it becomes, breaking those things down.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I think I am very happy because I'm very simple. I'm way simpler in business and content than people realize. I'm very simple in life. I don't really want stuff. I like playing. I like competition. That's something I'm passionate about. I've been thinking a lot about competition. I'm thinking about why is there so much anxiety in the system? Of course, social media pipes. I don't blame social the way people do. I just think that people are being exposed.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
This was happening at dinner tables.
Yes,
and
or
so
in
like
school
that's
too.
right. So I think people want to blame platforms. This is about a human thing, and I think every country is different, every religion's different, race, genders, a lot going on, but I really think that there's a lot of fun little pieces put together that got us to certain places. I think eliminating merit and demonizing competition has been a misstep. And a lot of people don't like juggling 6 balls, and I think that's awesome. I think life needs to be talked way more around self-awareness and self-love. Like, I can't pick one thing. Gary, so many of my friends, well-intended, most accomplished people on earth, Gary, if you ever decided to pick one thing and focus, you would. And I'm like, I would die.
Yeah.
You think, because you did and it works for you, that's awesome. And that's why when I make content, I say it with such passion and conviction. I'm always trying to use longer format platforms like this to take a step back and create some clarity. I'm asking people to do the things on their terms as passionately and all in as I am. I'll talk about tactics. Yes, TikTok is an arbitrage attention machine right now. Yes, I believe you should post 3-4 times a day, but you don't have to. More importantly, if you dislike posting on TikTok the way I dislike reading, then you should do it never.
Yes.
And that's the part that people, they want everything so black and white when everything is gray.
Absolutely.
I'm always trying to share my conviction, talk about the ease of leaning into oneself, but remind people, don't be me. I have high energy. I have levels of charisma that aren't trained. Like mommy and daddy made love at the right second, and I was born with certain things. It's the same reason that I've struggled with candor. Do you know how many 5-minute meetings I have that are such a waste of time because they could have been an 18-second reading of an email, but I can't do it. And I was a DNF student because even as a child, I had some sort of subconscious force that just wasn't interested in not being me. You know?
Yeah.
I just want that for more people. Like, and then that goes into a framework that I get very passionate about. My favorite thing about walking around Earth is how visceral I am against judging people. In an era that judgment of others has become the most popular pastime. But it starts with me not judging myself. I have standards, I have morals, but I don't beat myself up. And as you know, because I'm sure you're on the receiving end of different, but many of the same messages that I get.
Oh, of course.
People are just so good at beating themselves up. And I'm like, why? Like, everybody else sucks too. Like, great, so you're not good at this, or you missed your kid's baseball game and you're not a bad parent. We need, another thing, Jay, that I'm very passionate about, intent needs to have a seat at the table. We've eliminated the ability to try to figure out one's intent. You suck because of this. Do you know why they got there?
Totally.
Do you know how this happened? Like, we've just eliminated intent. So these are all the feelings I think through, but like, I definitely like doing a lot of things.
Yeah. And I love what you're saying, because we'd rather project that label of judgment onto someone, because then we don't have to do the work to figure out how they got there.
Yeah, I mean, right? Envy and jealousy are incredibly powerful traits. I tend not to, a lot of my friends throw it out about me, about themselves. I actually never go there. It's very real. I'm just trying to figure out the solve.
Yes.
Which is like big things like, can we reframe success? Can we create clarification? For example, with me, I've spent the last 5 years trying to really explain why I want to buy the New York Jets. Because it's a fun game. Not like I need the New York, you know what I mean? Like I totally get I'm in a weird place now where I kind of want like Karen Thompson to buy the Jets and be the biggest person. Like, good job, Karen, you did it. Like, I'd want to try to buy the Jets. I don't need the Jets. I want to try to build big companies. It's fun. Process over the trophies. I don't need the trophies to close gaps of insecurity. And so, like, redefining success. That was that talk right after VCon a couple days ago in Vegas. A lady said, and she was so damn happy. And she's like, but I'm not, making the dollars like everybody in this room. Like, are you happy? She's like, really happy. I'm like, you're the winner of the room. We have to redefine success. I'm not against money. I'm an entrepreneur. I was born in the USSR and grew up in America. I'm like very pro anything in balance. Capitalism in balance excites me to no end. It's around merit. But we need to teach all of ourselves the simplicity of like, redefining success. My dad's a very popular figure. I do a good job making him popular. He's the best. But my dad and I are very different. My dad grew up with a very different mom than I did. My dad grew up in a very different place. The USSR is not an optimistic place. A lot of Americans and a lot of people listening around the world don't know this. The USSR was a jail. It wasn't only that it was a difficult country. We have difficult countries around the world. You couldn't leave. I'm not educated. I think you can't leave North Korea, right? Like, if you leave it, right? North Korea is the comp. Like, you couldn't leave the USSR. So that's called jail. And so, he grew up in a very different place. That manifested in my father looking at his employees very differently than I do, looking at the world differently. And we had some very serious conversations in the last 96 hours because I made this connection point. I'm not going to put him out there yet. I think that's for him to put out there if he wants to. But my last book, 12 and a half, Ingredients, what I realized when I wrote it was, it's not just empathy. It's not just ambition. Like, we're the makeup of like these 3 combos, these 4 combos. In this situation, these 2 combos. And what I think happened is there was one ingredient that my dad wasn't using in combination that if he starts using the way he has been the last 2-3 days, everybody around him is going to be happier, but for me selfishly, he's going to be happier. And I'm really glad that moment's connected. My dad's had stop and starts of like optimistic points of view in the past. We all have. I've had stops and starts with candor. Let me make it about myself. I'm finally over the hump in the last 3-4 years. But it was a special moment, and like, I'm incredibly emotional about it because it could be a really big impact.
It was really beautiful to see, man.
Thank you, brother.
And I loved how your response was like, Dad, you should have come earlier.
And look, it's fun to do this with you because you're also one of the human beings on earth that communicates in a way that helps people. It's a very heavy feeling to know that you can say something and can change someone's life. You know, I think it's intoxicating. I think it's why a lot of therapists love their job. I think it's why a lot of people that are into meditation, I think it's why teachers love their job. I think it's why a lot of parents, my mom had real sadness, empty nest when AJ left. She was a Hall of Fame mother. When he left, she didn't get to play her, you know, like, so I think for many of us around the world, we do it publicly, but a lot of people do it privately or in small microclimates. There's nothing like saying something that provides someone else value. When that person ends up being some of the people you love the most, that goes to a different planet.